Hi guys, Ray here, City Fan TV. Hopefully there'll be nothing going on in the background. I always get these echoes when I start. I've not done streams for a little while, so I'm just making sure I've got nothing playing in the background. I always get some starts playing in the background, and then Bernard, buddy, how you doing? Long time.
Yeah, not bad, mate. I'm off tomorrow. Then I'm in Friday. Then I'm off till next Thursday. So I'll enjoy that. Although I spend a couple of that days recovering from the trip to London, but I'll be all right.
Well, you're going to Palace, aren't you? You're going to see Palace.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to see City at Palace.
I'm not going to the Palace. No, she's not. I've not got an OBE like old buzzer. No, it's not. No OBE, MBE for me. No, I don't. What's the difference between an OBE and an MBE? I have no idea.
Order of the British Empire, member of the British Empire. One's one level. It's like winning the Carabao Cup and winning the FA Cup.
What's better?
MBE.
Right.
If I remember correctly, MBE is better. But I'd turn it down. Don't want that shit. Come on. If Boris Johnson's saying his dad should be a knight, I don't believe
there's a few dodgy knights about, mate. I won't worry about that.
Well, we're going to start off by talking about one dodgy knight, and that involves Kyle Walker.
Now, he's a bloody lunatic.
Yeah, look, I did a stream earlier, not a stream, but I did a video earlier on today about the City's big rebuild in the summer. And I mentioned Kyle Walker, and I just shook my head and said, I don't want to talk about that. Someone asked me, well, what's going on? I'm thinking, how can you not know? It's plastered across the papers, all over the media, all over social media. I don't want to go into it too much. But basically, some people have said, he's just a lad. Just be a lad.
He's not a lad, is he? He's not a lad anymore. He's a grown-up man. He's a mature man.
He's 32. He's going to be 33 this summer. I saw a picture a couple of days ago of him canoodling with his missus. Now he's canoodling with somebody, and a lot worse, allegedly. Sometimes you can take the allegedly out because that was Kyle Walker. And he's done a bit more than canoodle with this woman. And apparently he's dropped his pants and, plopped his weapon out. I mean, the guy's a weapon for baby. Look, during lockdown, he got done a couple of times. He got, hauled over the coals for breaking lockdown rules. And, he had some young ladies of the night around, apparently. I think in your day, there were escort girls or something. I don't know what
in my day. I'm not that old, mate, Hussies and whores in my day.
Harlots about 20s.
Ladies of ill repute.
That's it. So he got in trouble for that because they weren't supposed to be there. It's not what he was doing, but it's the fact they were there. And I believe he was set up because how do these pictures and videos or stuff get out? So he's getting caught. And I'll accept, and the newspapers were following him as well when he went to his mum's house. And I can accept that you can have, I think I said at the time, I'll accept if you've got mental health issues because it's hard to deal with some stuff. And then, I'll support you up to a point because he's going to see his mom and he's missing her parent and all. I accept that. But if you're just using that as an excuse, I said that's unforgivable. So he's apparently, being a naughty boy with somebody who's not his wife. Some people say, hey, I can't remember someone put some up about that. Someone said, I'm sure you've done it as well. Well, no. Bernard, I'll start with you. When was the last time you cavorted with a young lady that wasn't your wife and dropped your pants a couple of times to get your shlong out?
I'm not going to say.
Don't say last week. Don't say last week.
I will. I'll
lead the fifth.
Yeah, a while ago, but yes, something not quite as bad, but yeah. I'm not had the old schlong out for a while.
Oh dear. But, tell you what, Walker went all Captain Caveman on us. Look, we've got to start with Walker. Look, we're laughing at it because he's been an idiot. It can be a serious thing. Cheshire police are investigating now because all it needed is someone to complain about some indecent exposure. I wouldn't be surprised if it was another football fan or whatever, someone who, look, I'm just going to say this. It might be somebody who's not offended, who just thinks it's a laugh. to complain. It might be somebody who was offended, but I mean, if you didn't see the offensive weapon yourself, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have complained about it. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it just impinges on. I mean, obviously, I was picking a team the other day, and I got to the stage like you, where you're talking about Walker, and I was saying, obviously, you know, you've got Walker and Lewis at the moment vying for that position, depending on who we're playing, what we want to do.
Yeah.
And now if Walker's done something like this, and there's going to be repercussions, which, I mean, City have said it's nothing to do with them because it's in his own time and all this. I mean, you can't get away with it. Won't be able to go out that easy. Obviously, the repercussions long term perhaps could happen, but yeah, I mean, you know, he's put us in a mess as far as football's concerned. Yeah. Being an idiot like he has been is sort of, you know, at this crucial time of the season, which is what it is. I mean, this is a hell of a time now. 12 games left, is it? You know, if Arsenal keep scoring the last minute winners and we don't win every game, I mean, you know, it could all end in the next half a dozen games or so. We don't pull our socks up. And it was great to have Lewis and Walker battling for that. And Pep had two options. He can play two different styles, whether he's playing Lewis or whether he's playing Walker. And now, you know, hopefully, you know, at the moment, Walker will be available to play, but who knows what's going to happen down the line.
Yeah, it's a distraction that we don't need. You know, you've got a week to prepare and everything else. It's going to be, look, what do you think the first question at the press conference is going to be? Yeah, Pep. No, it's going to be, Pep, have you ever got your chap out in a bar? You know, did you do that when you played for Barcelona? Just go to a bar with someone who wasn't your wife and get your chap out? No, as Harry says, nice of Walks to take his old man out for a drink. Well, I don't think his old man was having a drink. But it's an unwanted distraction. As I said, he's at least twice he's been done for this before. And yes, I'll accept that they're all young men. What they do in their own time is up to them and all that. But you've had Walker. This is twice we've seen some debauchery or behaviour that he shouldn't have been involved with. This is potentially another one. Grealish in the gutter, drunk. I think there's some scandals with Grealish. Foden getting sent home from, was it in Iceland or wherever they were, got sent back. And the story that you covered for about 6 months, Ben Mendy. You know?
Yeah, there's a trend there. I'm sure other clubs had the problems, but obviously ours have been keep occurring and being out there. So there is something wrong somewhere in the background of looking after our players, and the sort of we don't have a pastoral care, do we, or whatever. But we do have some sort of care for these players, and it's not really working from what I can see at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be careful what I say now. My lad has just sent me a message. My teenage lad. Besides me wearing his coat, that's what he wrote to say. I'm wearing his coat. But the fact is, he's watching this adult. This is not made for kids video, and he's a kid. He's watching this, sat at home. Yes, I did steal his coat, and yes, it is a lot nicer than mine.
Well, suits you. Looks very good. Yeah. Suits you, mate.
He's. I like it. Actually, we got a coat each the other week, and I know he's written to me. He said he's got his beard is bigger than mine. He's only 15. And
as long as it's his beard, mate, that's all that matters.
Yeah, look, and I'm so short. I have to ask him to reach up to the top shelf for me now.
Well, we've had actually it's been snowing today a little bit. It's obviously not stuck, but it's quieting down again now. But I could have done with that coat myself now.
Well, I said I'm going to keep it. I'll give him mine because I like this. I really do. I love that hood. I mean, I've got another one. That I wore to many.
You look almost handsome, mate, with that hood up. It's covering your face. He looks almost handsome.
The thing is, I mean, I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, this is a pet beard. This is almost a pet beard.
Yeah, looking the part, mate. You're looking the part. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
I need to lose a few kilos. I've been here since Saturday. I've been KFC at least 4 times. And Pizza Hut once, and it's like, hang on, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days. It's like I've been here 5 days and you've had KFC 4 times and Pizza Hut once. It's well, the mall's across the road. It's literally across the road.
Well, I used to have when I did publishing when I was young in my 20s, and we had a magazine publishing thing. Our offices were over Martin's, the bakers, Martin's. Imagine how much weight I put on the 2 or 3 years I was there. It was, cream cakes, unbelievable.
Well, we used to, when I ran a business with one of my mates, we used to go to Chippy every few days, and it's like, you can't help but put. I remember years ago down in. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in publishing, obviously we had deadlines. We were like 24/7 sometimes, and obviously we had a Chinese opposite. So you had cream cakes in the day and pies, and we had Chinese at night because you just had to do that while we were working. We're in and out all the time.
There was this one place in Saddleworth, so we had offices. I think where were we now? We were near Saddleworth, our offices, and there's one of the towns there. I can't remember which one it was. Small little towns, and we used to go there. Sometimes it's a bit of a trek, but we used to go there to Chippy, and they had these homemade cheese and onion pies, and they're basically like the cheese and onion pies you get at school, but they were like door wedges, door stoppers. They were massive, so you'd get your fish and chips, you get a cheese pie because that's what I do, and the afternoons are wasted time because once you've eaten all that, big massive plate of chips, big fish, and a big wedge cheese and onion pie, and you just sleep. You're trying to keep awake. The afternoon is just a nightmare. Yes, look, guys, we're not talking much footy because there's not a lot going on because we're not a lot of game this week. It's crazy that we haven't got a game this week, and I thought we'll do a stream before hopefully Spurs get beat tonight. That'd be lovely.
Chelsea did well. Didn't they? Was it 2-0? 2-0 Chelsea?
Yeah, 2-0 to Chelsea. The Dortmund side who haven't lost this in 2023. Dortmund side.
I don't think the modern day German sides travel that well, do they, to the UK? I don't think.
Well, Chelsea haven't scored 2 goals in a game for a long, long time. I say give Potter a new 5-year deal. He's obviously. Look, we laugh at him. He might go and win the Champions League. You never know. Matteo won it. Roberto Di Matteo. Was it Matteo? Yes, he won it. Yeah. Tuchel won it.
No, you don't have to be. You don't have to be the best team to win all that. We know that the best teams doesn't always win the Champions League. It's simple as that. Yeah,
Klopp's won it, and he's not had the best team. And City, who have had the best team, haven't won it. It's just one of those things. Go through a few comments. Luke, how you doing, buddy? Will he play on Saturday? I hope not. Wait and see. From a selfish point of view, we've got to win the game. The way fans will have a field day. I haven't looked at what any of the quips will be. I'm trying not to go down that route of trying to think what people might be saying about Walker, but not very good. What other news? There's something else that popped up today. We can talk about Palace, but I'm just trying to see what other newsworthy items there are. There's, I'm harking back to the weekend, but there's been a few nice memes out there, Bernard. Have you noticed any nice memes since the weekend?
Nothing to do with Carabaos and 7-Ups or anything like this. Nothing like that.
Can you believe that Marcus Rashford come out and said that they didn't give up?
Well, if they didn't give up, they must be even more embarrassed. And at least give up and then just accept it. That, yeah, we did give up. That's what I had to say. Yes, we did give up, and we apologise profusely to our supporters and everybody else. That's what he should have said.
Because if they're getting beat 7-0 whilst they're trying, then they must be shit.
You go back to our Middlesbrough game, don't you? The 8-1, and you go back to that and. The circumstances were totally different, of course. It was, what was happening off the pitch and stuff like that. So there was, in a way, a reason for it. In the same way, when we got beat by Wigan, there was probably a reason why we got beat in the FA Cup final. We shouldn't have lost that, but we angry at the players that they couldn't raise it. But behind the scenes, things were happening. But what excuse the hell did United have for just
down in the win? Like that? Everybody was talking, well, not everybody, but certain sections of fans and journalists and media were talking about United challenging for the title. Here's a question: if you're in that changing room, if you're in that team with Bruno Fernandes back in the day, would you have lost your foot sticking it up his ass? Would you have kicked him so hard?
I mean, it must be something about these little Portuguese guys. I mean, we love Bernardo to bits, but he's nowhere near as ratty as this guy. But he's not far off. But he's in a much nicer way, Bernardo. Yeah. He's not as he's obviously he's a bit more. What's the word we're looking for? Shit, I don't know.
Bernardo's a bit more lovable, though.
Yeah, he's a lovable rock, but obviously away fans don't like him because he can wind things up. So it must be a Portuguese thing. It must be little Portuguese guys, which is what they are. They're not big guys. Perhaps these guys were explorers, weren't they? These guys conquered some of the world, didn't they? So it's obviously a bit like the arrogant English. I think the Portuguese have probably got a little bit of a chip on the shoulders as well.
I've got to be honest, Bruno Fernandes is so ugly. He is so ugly. The day that he was born, the doctor slapped his mother. I mean, he's that ugly. He's that ugly. But it's I really hated, and I mean this in the right sense of the word. I hated players on my own team who didn't put the effort in. I've told this story before about this kid he's 17. He was a coach's son. We were playing in the seconds. I always wanted to play in the first. I think I remember playing once for the first team when I was living down in Guildford, near Guildford. And basically, I was a pretty good defender, but I wasn't quick enough, and I wasn't tall enough and strong enough. And I just remember this winger just ripping it out of me. And I had to try and I was trying to man-mark this guy at the half-line because he was just too quick for me. I couldn't get in the game. And my game was about a lot of work, a lot of effort, and get up and down the pitch. At second team, I was great. First team, I wasn't. Anyway, this kid, it was in the days where if you were offside, you were offside. And, whether you were interfering or not. And this kid, whenever he went up, he just walked back. And I was probably playing midfield or something, and I remember shouting out, "I'm going to kick you up the arse if we get we have a chance," because we were crap. If we have a chance and we lose it because you're offside, I hate it. I remember another team I played for. I always got on with my teammates. I said to this big guy, I said, going forwards when we're attacking, you've got tons of energy to chase it, get in the box and try and get on the end of it. But you can't go back and defend. So if you can't, I used to say, if you can't come back and defend, don't go up. Conserve your energy, save it for us. Because when you don't come back, you're leaving us in the shit. So Bruno Fernandes, the way he played, it was disgusting. But you do look at that United side and say they still have some flaky players. I'd say Anthony looks flaky, just walking around, no interest. Bruno Fernandes is a flaky player. You can get to him, and I think he was lucky. I don't know exactly what the linesman did to him, but he pushed the linesman. Yeah.
I mean, as I say, you can't do that. Officially, you can't do that, but you can if you're a United player. Obviously, you're allowed to do things like that. But Liverpool have got it. Let's face it, Liverpool have almost slapped us well and proper, but we managed to scrape better looking results out of it than you remember the old was it the 4-3? I mean, that looked like it was going to be 6 or 7 at one stage, but we managed to sort of turn it round. But so they are quite capable. I mean, you wouldn't put it past them putting 4 or 5 past Real Madrid. In a couple of days' time, and I don't know when they're playing them. I mean, they are capable of that, but obviously, and that's all they need. Liverpool once now they've got that, the backs will be up. They'll be really up for it now again for the rest.
I said when they were 10 or 11 points behind Newcastle, I said, and I've actually listened to some of the other day, where Liverpool are one of the only teams besides City and Arsenal this season who can go on a 7, 8, 9, 10 match-winning run. Was it a couple of seasons ago when they were way out of it? They won, was it the last 10 games to qualify for the Champions League? And I said, they're the only side I think that it's going to be difficult because you've got Spurs, Newcastle, even Fulham and Brentford and Brighton. Liverpool down in about 9th. But look what happens. They've kept 5 clean sheets in the league and they're up there. was it in 5th spot? Games in hand, and but you never know. They drop the points in the next game. It might happen. Let's look at some of the points. Let's see what guys are saying, and I'll read your comments out. Carl's wife must be well pleased. Big Morgan, Carl's in the doghouse at home. Sean, sell him to Sheffield United. He would up there anyway. Shame because he's been great for us. Sean again. Hope Qatar was okay. I'm still in Qatar, mate. I'm still in Qatar. I got the coat on because I've got this air conditioning in here. I've never fiddled with it. It's blooming. And I went out today after sunset. We go with my sister up to the hospital, and she said, "What are you wearing a coat for?" She said, "It's 25 degrees." I said, "I'm feeling cold." Well, when it's dark, it gets cold. And I'll come back with my brother. He was driving back, and he said, "What are you wearing a coat for?" He's looking at people on the street in the dark, and they're in shorts and t-shirts. I said, "I'm feeling cold, man." Chelsea got a lucky penalty, says Big Morgan. Blackburn Blue, Fernandes, Cancelo, and Ronaldo, great blocks to go for a pint. So we said nobody ever. Sean, 7-0 can happen to a more unlikable, slight, ugly bunch. It couldn't happen, and I'm a neutral. You can't do anything. Nordic Meat Shield. You can't do anything these days. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Some of the stuff that I'm sure we got up to as youngsters, you can't get up to these days, certainly not in public. And if you did, people would be it'll be all on video and on social media in no time. So, maybe, but we got lucky in our youth. Abhishek, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well too. Yes, we have been talking about the entitlement. Look, someone said it was a Caesar complex. I can't remember who said this. But basically, these players, they think they can do anything and get away with anything because they're pampered. The hero worshipped and pampered. And that's why you hear so many crazy stories. And you could argue, in a bunch of 25 young men between the ages of 18 and 32 or 33, you're going to get a number of them who are going to do some drink driving. Yaya Toure. How much was he fined? 200 grand or something? He said someone was had spiked his coke with rum. I think he did. Yeah. They're not.
It was a spicy birthday cake, I think. I think they put some rum in his birthday cake or something like that.
The thing is, he said someone spiked his coke with rum. Yeah. I think actually someone spiked his rum with coke. So Yaya, look, you've seen so many young men disgrace themselves in public. Some of them go to court, some of them go to prison, and they've got a lot of money. As Ben Mendy said himself, he's pulling in loads of money. He's not the best looking bloke in the world, but women were throwing themselves at him.
Yes, I know what it's like, mate. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Well, when you were doing your fancy well, when you were doing your fancy when you had hair.
Got a long memory.
Well, that's the only long thing you've got, mate. Apparently, but but no, I'm sure when you were doing your fanzine stuff all those years ago, people, women were throwing themselves at you. at you. But you've got to repeat. It is what as the club says, and I'm sure Pet will say at the weekend, that what people do in their own time is up to them. But this should be and whether there should be a moral.
What's the word? You're an ambassador, aren't you? If you play for a football team, you go out and you wear all the same gear, you wear the badges, blah blah blah, and you're an ambassador for that team, and you should act accordingly. As I say, it's quite difficult, obviously, for some of our boys to do that. And as I say, I don't hear about other clubs having similar problems. Is it just
maybe it's because we look at our.
Yeah, of course we do. We look at all our team. Obviously, people are quick to jump on at us as well because, let's face it, we're not liked, and people want to pick on as much as they can.
And I think also that media agendas against us, so there might be a few more camera lenses pointing at our players than elsewhere. It always amazes me. The Sun come out with all these things, and players know some of the stuff the Sun do is really shitty, But you still get players writing for them to take the money. And it's like, if you're rich enough, why do you need to be doing this sort of shitty thing? Because you know, if they get a chance, they'll screw you over. Can you imagine what would happen to Mike Summerby if he did something like this?
Well, I'm sure back in the day.
No,
he was one of the lads. He wasn't behind the door all night, was he? Let's be honest about it.
I've got to say, I think he admitted himself, and I got his autobiography, and basically, he was good friends with George Best, I think.
Yeah, the best mates, the best pals, yeah.
And I think quite honestly, to paraphrase it, he'd go out with Georgie Best. Buzzer kind of admitted he's not, the best looking fella. And there were tons of women around George Best. And, George couldn't handle them all.
Now we're on with sloppy seconds, mate. Nothing wrong with that.
I don't think he had to even do that. There was just so many of them, Tell you what, this is a family show. It might be after the watershed here in Qatar, but it's certainly not down there. But it's true that, there's a lot of people interested in footballers for the money. That's it. As Sean says, they're interested in him for money, and that's it. And I'm not going to cast aspersions on the women, but the fellas should know better, because at some point, someone's going to get in big trouble. They're going to get themselves in trouble. And they should look at what's happening with men. What's happened with Mendy? Okay, he's been found not guilty on so many charges, but I think he's going to go back to court, isn't he?
June.
Yeah. So. Getting drunk it can lead to trouble. Getting paralytic like some of these guys are is going to just lead to trouble, because there's so many cameras out there. People want to do, and you end up, as we've seen, some of them doing stupid things. Let's have a look at Abhishek wants to talk football. Oh, there's something wrong with you, mate. Right. Abhishek, there are Kevs and Gundos of this world, and there is this guy who's 32 at the twilight of his career. He needs to be a role model to academy lads rather than be like an illiterate. You can't say like at illiterate, because then it means like an illiterate. But the kids are going to see this, and some of them will say, if he can do it, I can do it. Why not? You want to be professional. Like you're right. Gundogan and KDB, you won't see them doing this. Sean says Walks has committed a public order, a disorder. It's not a public disorder, public order offence. I think flashing your todger is potentially
public. I mean, it's an offence.
And it just needed someone to complain, and it doesn't need to be someone who was there at the time. And I think that's what's probably happened. Someone who wasn't there has complained, and now they'll investigate it.
So you get some old days saying she zoomed in on the camera just to check. I zoomed right in. Oh, it was offended by it.
Oh dear me!
There's always someone out there. There'll always be someone out there be offended by it, even though they weren't there. Well, I'll have to watch this just to be offended.
I was at the park back in Manchester last week, and just walking through the park, and this fella was jogging naked. I couldn't believe it. Fella jogging. It was like, it's that cold. This fellow was jogging naked, and there was two old women walking down the street, and there was down in the park, and they were so shocked. One of them had a stroke. The other one wasn't quick enough. You know that. I knew that. You know the joke.
Yes, I mean, I sort of realised part way through. Yeah.
I tell you what, that joke it takes me back best part of 50 years. That was 40 odd years. We saying that joke in school. There was one about. Was one about Sebastian Coe. Oh, anyway, let's not go there. But look, we are making. We're not meant to really trying to make light of what he's done, because it's not big and it's not hard and it's not clever. Certainly not in that temperature anyway. But what he's done, we said he's brought, a bit of shit. He might not be bothered about the shame that he's brought upon himself, and he'll turn around and say, "I'm really sorry. I'm not really contrite," and blah, blah, blah. But he's not done himself any favours. He's not done the club any favours. And as I said, Pep doesn't want to be talking about this in his press conference as the first thing that's going to be there, and it's just a pain. It's a distraction that's not needed. We want to have, I think we need to have total focus for the rest of the season. Anyway, I'll just quickly mention the video I put out earlier today, not too long ago, actually. And it's about Manchester City's rebuild for the summer. And I asked Bernard, and if Blackpool Blu-ray is still here, I did actually want to quickly send him a message to find out which kids might make it, but I just didn't have time to squeeze it in. I haven't got a lot of time. Basically, I go to the shopping mall to get a coffee in the morning and do a video, and that's usually that's my only time out. So, but I said in that video, there's a lot of players who could be leaving this summer. We've talked about needing a rebuild, and we've had little tinkers with it, like Haaland coming in, and we've not had massive bunch of changes. Having said that, we got this summer, correct me if I'm wrong, we got Peroni, Alvarez and Akanji, Gomez and Phillips. So we got 5 players, and we've got the goalie. I'm not worried about the goalie. Then we've got 5 players, and Haaland, 6 players. Maybe somebody else I've missed. But in terms of main players, but when you look at what we've got Cancelo wanting out. He's crying at Bayern now. Well, that's a shame. Laporte wanting out because he's not getting game time. Well, mate, your 5th choice centre-back, so it is what it is. Bernardo's been talking about leaving for 2 or 3 years. Gundogan, who hasn't signed a contract extension, his contract finishes in 3 months' time. Possible you lose all those 4 players. Now, that is a lot to lose. 2 defenders, 2 midfielders. That's a lot to lose in one window. And you can look at them all and say, a year ago, potentially, all of you were first-team players. You were potentially part of the first, if you say this 13 or 14 I would say 13 or 14 first-team players, because Diaz, Laporte, and Stones can't all play at the same time. I'll class them all as first-team players. You're losing potentially 4 first-team players. How do you cope with that? Because that's a lot of seniority.
Yeah, especially when you think we're only aware of like 3 or 4 big names we've been looking at, the Bellinghams and the Lowells and the Karavashvili, whatever he's called, the other guy. I mean, but I'm sort of looking at players that, we don't usually, the guys who've gone out on loan don't usually make an impact coming back, do they? But you're thinking of people like McAtee who's doing all right. I think these are 2 or 3 guys out on loan who might have a big say next season because certain players. Go on.
No, you go ahead. You make your points, and I'll...
Yeah, I'm just going to say there's certain players that I think are in the squad now that are sometimes on the bench in cup games, and you just can't see them making it. Even someone like Palmer, you just can't see them making any sort of contribution. So you may have 2 or 3 surprises of players coming back that might have a big say, but it's unusual.
The thing is, and I'm going through some of the video I did this afternoon. Players don't normally come back to City once they've gone out on loan. Very, very rare. Okay, I bet you can't name anybody apart from didn't Zinchenko go out on loan once? And
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Angelino went out on loan, came back.
Yeah,
it's very, very rare. And obviously the goalkeeper Zach Steffen, but trust me, he ain't making it at City. But I think the difference is now. In the past, all right, we've got a general increase in quality throughout the team, the squad, and everything else. The overall average standard is going up. So we've got better quality kids coming through. I mean, like we had Brandon Barker 10 years ago. What happened to him? What I'm saying, the caliber and the quality of people coming through now, it's totally different to what it was 5 or 6 years ago. Palmer, I think, is unlucky because he had that fantastic season for the under 23s when he was 18. You had Liam Delap scoring a ton of goals. Excuse me. He was the top scorer by a long way. And I think Palmer was the 2nd top scorer in the league. Not just at City, but in the league. 2nd or 3rd top scorer. So he scored a lot of goals. And he wasn't the front man. So he was playing regularly. Last season, he started off playing quite a few times. He looked like he was coming through. got injured, and that was his season over. Not because he was injured, he just couldn't get back in that side because then everybody else came back. And this season, he's got no chance, because he's going to play as an attacking midfielder or up front somewhere in those 5 players. Yeah. Well, in those 5, you've got Bernardo, Gundogan, KDB, Mahrez, Alvarez, Foden, Grealish, Haaland. You've got 9 players at least for 5 spots. Yeah, 9 for 5 spots. And then you've got Palmer. So the chances of him starting games is, from now to the end of the season is remote because he ain't going to start Champions League games. He ain't going to start, I don't think, the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. And he's unlikely to start in the league. And I think what's hurt him when he does get a few minutes is he's got, he might get 10 or 15 minutes in a game. He's got to look $1 million or $10 million because he's got to really shine. And that puts extra pressure on him. That means he takes more risks because he says, I've only got one chance to shine. And the more risk you take, the more chance it doesn't work. So he's in a no-win situation. And because he's not been playing. He's not gone back to the 23s.
Yeah, he's not even getting a chance to play at the other level, is he? That's the problem when you're on the bench.
So I don't think he's improved. Now, he might have improved technically behind the scenes, but when you see him play, I don't see the same sort of play that we've seen before. So I feel really sorry for him. And the point that I was going to make is totally gone because I mentioned Palmer because you mentioned him. But we're going to need, you're saying a lot of change in the midfield, I think. And going forwards, and we've also got some players coming in who we haven't seen much of. Pironi. Don't know if he's going to make it. We've got Alvarez and Kanjanaki. So I think going forwards, and I'm saying looking at a year, possibly 2 years down the line, from this group of players, and we're going to ignore Gomez and Phillips. We were talking about that was it. We were talking about loanees going out and coming back. Now, the thing about the loanees going out and coming back, in the past, they've not been good enough. The standard's not been there. But you got all people that we sold. Now you look at it and say, McAtee, you've seen a little bit of him. Do you think he's got a chance? I mean, I think Blackburn Blu-ray has a better idea, but I think McAtee's got a chance potentially to come back.
Well, bits I've seen of him for his there's much commitment as well. I mean, obviously people like Lewis are doing it. I don't think there's a lot of difference between Lewis and McAtee as far as talent is concerned in different places.
But then you've got to look at, I say you look at someone that we sold, Lavia. He's not doing too bad in Southampton.
Well, he's done all right. Done all right. He's not, obviously he has ups and downs, but obviously he's playing in a poor team, which makes a big difference.
Well, not only is he playing in a poor team, this is his first season, isn't it? Really? Yeah. He's a kid from a Belgian football player. How old is he? 20? Come on, Bernard. 19.
19, I think you're right, yeah. So without looking at my bit of paper.
Even though he's still only 19. Oh, and here's the thing, he was 19 in January. So he's been playing in the Southampton side when he was 18 years old. He's had 16 appearances for Southampton. I think that's pretty good in his first full season of football. He's still young. He's had 20. I'm having a look, like 16 league appearances, 21 in total for Southampton, which isn't bad. I don't think that's bad at all. And he could make it. You've got the goalie at Southampton, Bazunu. I think generally he's done all right. He's had some rave reviews. I think he's made some mistakes as well. So Gavin Bazunu, potentially. So I think the standard is much, much higher. And that gives the potential for people to come back because you're going to have to be the bee's knees. You have to be the dog.
Yeah, he's fallen off a cliff, hasn't he? Is it Delap? He's ended up in the reserves, hasn't he? Where he's gone, playing the reserve games rather than for the first team now.
Is he at Preston?
Yeah, Preston. He's been playing for Preston reserves lately. So I don't know if he's been injured and coming back from injury or something like that. But it doesn't. It's a real shame because put it this way, he's not been setting the world alight at Preston, has he? When he has played,
I think his problem was he wasn't setting the world alight when he was at Stoke on loan, where his dad played. But he played 22 games for them, but he only scored 3 goals. And now at Preston, he's been there since January. He's only played 6 games. In fact, I'm looking at it. He's played 6. According to Wikipedia, he's got 6 appearances, for Preston. But I don't know where. I'm looking at his thing. I don't know where he's had these appearances. It's an incomplete record, I think. But it's a shame because I thought he scored so many goals in the under-23s. He had a bit of strength, a bit of hustle and bustle about him. He was good old-fashioned centre forward. He had the height and strength.
Have we got anyone who's on a sort of buyback? That's gone abroad that we've got an option of a buyback? Anyone you can think of?
We've got Lavia. I think we'll have a buyback on Lavia and Bazunu. But going abroad, I can't think of anybody who has gone off the top of my head and done really well.
Yeah.
Brahim Diaz.
The thing is, we'd hear about it. This is the thing. It would be being mentioned in all the media, social media, etc. We'll be seeing the names popping up, won't we? Oh, he's still, we've got an option on him, and he's doing bits at such and such a place, and we're not really getting that.
Yeah. So this is what I want to Blackpool Blue Ray talking about Isaiah Dadamaskell.
He's 16. I mean, he's talking a while off, aren't we? Yeah. That's not going to happen for another 3 or 4 years minimum.
The truth is, unless he is out of this world, we won't be seeing him, like you said, for 3 or 4 years. He has to be out of this world. And I don't think he might end up being that, but the progression we want to see. We saw it with Foden, that progression. We haven't seen it with Palmer, and that's a shame because I thought we would see it with Palmer. And I actually thought McAtee, he was another one when he came in. He wasn't really, he was really excited and really greedy. Yeah. But I think they all are because it is you might only have 5 minutes to show what you can do.
I'm a bit worried about this Foden. I know we joked about it and his foot and stuff like this, but I mean, it does seem to be a bit of a problem. I'm a bit worried about this, whether it'll need an operation of some sort at some stage.
Well, my feeling about Foden is, if we can, I think this is what they'll try and do: get him to the end of the season. Yeah. If it's possible, with painkillers.
Do they still give him injections and stuff like that, like they used to do in the old days to see him through?
It might be. Get him through to the end of the season. Have an operation. Don't do what Rashford did. If I'm right, Rashford had a problem with his shoulder. He waited till he came back from holiday to have his operation. All that about. Get his operation done the day after the season finishes, and give him the time to recover. If it's going to take him 6 months, let it take 6 months. If that's possible, that's what I'd do, because I did that video yesterday. I think we need Foden if we want to stand a chance to win the league this season. We need what he's offering right now. He's offering something that's out of this world, and it might just be it's gonna, I hope it's not a short purple patch. I hope this is the standard of Foden going forwards forever, because that's what you want to see. That level of play. And we got a bit spoiled at City by seeing such wonderful play, and sometimes now we don't accept mistakes and errors because we think, hang on, we're so used to having and watching incredible play and control and possession. You give the ball away cheaply, I'd throw my hands up and say, who's this clown? And maybe 10 years ago, we wouldn't, it wouldn't be like that because we didn't have so much possession. Let's go to some quick points. Abhishek says, we need a creative player in the midfield. I think we should, for Paqueta instead of Bellingham. I would also like to see Kudus in City. He's very underrated, to be honest. Never heard of Paqueta. I don't watch anything like as much football as I did 2 years ago. Sean says, squad needs a refresh. That war chest. I was thinking, who's war chest? Who's he playing for? That war chest must be growing. Been a while since a big transfer window, needs to let go of those who want to move on. Top of the league. Palmer really hurt his stock with poor performances. Last season he had a similar time, but far better games. Blackpool Blue-ray. To be fair, most of our young lads will make it at Championship or lower Premier level, which is great, but we are pressing to be the best club in Europe. That's true. You look at Tosin Adarabioyo, not looking at City, playing for Fulham. So it happens. It really does. the play, but I think, as I said, the standard is getting better. You know, I thought with Foden, Palmer, and McAtee, I really did believe the conveyor belt was there. I really did think it's there. But if you want to say, Bernard, in the last 5 years, who's come through from the academy in the last 5 years that is going to make it, do you think?
I'm struggling.
It's easy. Who's in the first team right now?
What do you mean? Well, a class Foden was making it.
He's made it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's made it. That's it. But I can't see anyone on the verge at the moment. That's the problem.
There's one more you've forgotten. Right back.
Oh, Lewis. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Rico. Yeah.
My point is.
So I can't. That's it. I mean, there's nothing unless there's someone sat in the under-23s who's you hear things and you hear bits. But it'd be in the squad. It'd be in the Pep would have him in that first team squad. And when you look at the bench against like Bristol City, it was a strong bench because we had all our players available. But you start talking about the Wilson Esbrands and Charles. Is it a guy called Charles? But we've not heard of it. They're not there. They're not there ready. They're just there to make the numbers up.
Yeah, but my point is going to be this: that in the last 5 years we've seen 2 come through.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the previous 10 years, how many did you see coming through? None.
No.
No one's come through.
Start going back to Mika Richards, don't we? People like that. He wasn't even ours originally, was he?
Nearly 15 years ago. You can argue Angelino, but Angelino isn't local. Didn't come through. He came from PSV or no, wherever he came from. Then he went to PSV on loan or whatever. But really, I'm trying to think in the last 10 years, how many local.
I mean, even the ones that have gone on like Louise, the ones that have gone on to play for like Villa and Louise and all these sort of characters, they're not exactly setting the world alight at where they are now, even though they might be playing for a Premier team.
But the thing is, Douglas Luiz never even played for City. He never came through the academy, really. You go back a bit, you got people like Ben Mee, Trippier. I mean, they made it.
Yeah, Trippier, he was a good,
You would argue I don't think you'd argue if Trippier was playing for City right now. And there'll be a few others, but really, they had to leave to make it. But in the previous 10 years, there's hardly anybody no one stands out. But in the last 5 years, there's been 2.
We've not created any legends. I mean, Foden's on his way to being one if he keeps at it, but we've not created any academy legends that have come on to be, the Yayas, the David Silvers of this world. They've just not been there, have they?
But my point is, the trend is positive. 5 years, 2 players have got through. It's only 2. You might say it's rogue. Foden's 1 in a million, and Rico Lewis hasn't made it. But my point is, it looks like more are getting closer. Palmer, I still think, as I said, a year and a half ago, whenever that first part of the season, he didn't look too much out of place playing for City. And he was 18, 19 years old. He just needed games and more time. So he looked like he could do it. McAtee looks like he's close. I think there are more players who are close to it now than we've ever been. If you think Palmer, McAtee,
I do worry a bit about the size of these players. I do worry about this. Don't seem to be. I know you don't have to be big to be anything special, but people like McAtee and Lewis to some extent, I mean, they need to grow a bit. I do worry that we're producing half-decent guys who aren't very big. And I know that doesn't make that much. You think of David Silver, of course, and people like that, but they're the exceptions, I think, to the rule of. I wouldn't mind a couple of bigger lads coming through.
What we got here, so McAtee's goal to Abhishek, he's been praised by Sheffield United players too. There's a guy in the academy who's got to Saturday midfielder. I think, as Topolilli says, I think as a team we've been playing badly this season, and so he tends to stack the benches. We have academy in previous seasons playing on and on bench as the first team were playing far better. Topolilli says Jack Harrison, but he never played for City, did he? And he came from New York City and went, we just made the money. Same as
he's garbage anyway, isn't he?
Same as what's his name? The Australian guy, bald one. He played for Huddersfield.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've lost his name.
Same as him, he never came. He's got a slightly odd name.
Yeah, it'll come to me, but it won't come to me at the moment.
So, anyway, oh come on, I've got to remember his name. It's not. He played for Huddersfield, and then he's moved on.
Right, the dead four. It's only a short name, isn't it? Only a little name. It's not a long name.
Well, you got to remember Aaron Moy.
Moy, that's it, Moy.
Yeah, because it's spelled Mooy. He thought, is it?
Thank you, Abhishek.
Aaron Moy. Not Aaron. They've all done it. I'm on Wikipedia having a look. See, I don't think about Jack Harrison. Sancho could have been playing for us. He was patient.
Just say to top of the league, I don't rate Jack Harrison at all. I think he's not garbage, but he's far from quality I'd like to see.
No. Okay, here you go, Bernard. 2 out of these 3: Sane, Sterling, Jack Harrison. Enough said. Yeah. I thought the same, Bern. It makes a big difference to set players. Yet Sean says, but when we look at set players, Rodri's 6 foot, Diaz is 6 foot, Stones, they're all about 6 foot. You know, the 5'11" to 6 foot or more. Haaland's 6'5". We've got enough big players. Top of the league, what's he said? You really think Harrison's
how tall's that guy for Newcastle, by the way? Because Haaland's having to look up to him, wasn't he? That's 6'8" or something.
7.
Well, yeah,
I know an extra inch can make a big difference, but he's only 6'7". Hey, Bill ABC TV, hope you're well, buddy. So that was Aaron Moy.
Burn, that's it. Burn, yeah, he's a big lad.
Quick question: name the most famous player to play for Man City and Huddersfield.
Dennis Law.
Yeah. Hey, you can't beat Bernard. You can't beat Bernard with these questions.
Sometimes you can, mate. I need my books.
So, we're saying that I think the progression is there. We've seen the level of, if Palmer doesn't make it at City, he will play at a decent level. I'm sure. If he needs a bit of luck and he's in the right place, he'll make it. So will McAtee.
He's lost this season, really, hasn't he? I thought, he could have done with being out somewhere, same way McAtee's improved by being out, and I think he could have done with being somewhere at Burnley or somewhere anyway, Sheffield or whatever.
Bernard, I think it's one of those things where I think Palmer's just been unlucky that this season we are stuffed full with attacking talent. We're stuffed full. And where does he fit in? That's his problem. On the right, you got محرز, and he's behind Foden, really. On the left, you got Grealish or Foden. Where does Palmer get a chance? If he's going to play out wide, he's not got a chance. If he plays attack midfield, I'm sorry. Can you see Pep going to Kid? I'm sorry, kid. Kev, I'm dropping this game. I'm letting Palmer play. No. So, and the problem is because he's not been playing now for 2 seasons. He's not got that, that match stuff that you need. Top of the league says, I'm saying if you have short players, it's not good in the box. Andy Morrison, he played for Huddersfield. But I think Dennis Law's slightly more famous. Most times he played, Maris was on too. But we had nobody else. You had Jack Grealish, who was not great last season. Hey, Brian, hope you're well. It's surprised that it was in the Sun newspaper, Liverpool club. That's what they think of the Sun paper. Yeah, look, people still... I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. I'm going to start winding down because we've been on for an hour. I thought I'd be on for half an hour. Go to the shops, get some sweets, sit myself down. Hopefully my lad's not listening. And watch Spurs get knocked out of the Champions League. That's a way to spend the evening, I think. Hi, it's Alex Calaspira, buddy. Come on, Alex. We've been on for 55 minutes. I'm back to.
Hello, Alex. Bye, Alex.
Yeah. No, Alex, we spent 55 minutes talking about Kyle Walker. You missed a humongous episode about Kyle Walker. Hey, not a bad stream tonight. It's been all right. And guys, please go we are about to finish. But if you get a chance, please go and have a little watch of the video I did on the big city rebuild. We talked a little bit about it today as well. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think about the players that might be leaving in the summer or the near future. Walker's 33. He's not going around forever. As soon as he loses his pace, he's gone. KDB's 32. Mahres is 32. Gundogan's 32. Gundogan's going to be 33, I think, in the summer. Some of these players will move on. Others aren't good enough to, hi, Anthony. Goodbye. And let me know who you want us to buy. We might be able to do a show later in the week. What is it? Wednesday today, maybe tomorrow, because there's still no game for us. And we'll talk about, what you guys put it in the other video, put it in the comments, and we'll have a look at who you think we should buy. And I might try and do another stream about who we should buy. I'm trying to think every day, what shall I do for tomorrow? Because we've got no games. What video can I do tomorrow? And it is a struggle. I mean, Kyle brought some headlines, so we talked about him. They're not going to talk about tomorrow, but we'll think of something. Sean says, come on, City. And Top League says, Kyle might be toast after this, one time too many. He's dipped his bread in the chucky egg once too often, I think, as Kyle Walker. You're going to start talking about Donkey Kong and Chucky Egg, aren't you? Going back. Guys, thanks so much. Thanks, Bernard. I hope you have a good evening.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, Ray.
When are you going back to work soon? A few days off?
Well, I'm in work Friday. Well, then I'm off, obviously. So
you working nights Friday? Or is it Friday night or Thursday night?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right till this time, up to, whenever anyway. It doesn't matter whether I'm working or not.
Well, there's no football tomorrow, is it? It's Thursday night. No proper football tomorrow night.
Mark Lillis, there's a player.
There's a blast from the past. Cheers, guys. Take care. Give us a thumbs up, and if you can, go and check out that video about the big reset for City, the big rebuild. Thanks a lot, Bernard. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, guys.